So let's get back into music. So let's start with you. What got you into music, and what kind of lit the fire to get you started? And then what were some of your first endeavors?
Well, what got me into music, I don't know. I don't know if I could blame it on my father or my mother. My father was in he was a bass player in some local band here in Kansas City. I remember a couple of their band names, but I remember he was in bands. He was apparently afraid of deodorant and whatever, but very fond of drugs and alcohol, as most musicians are. I remember also with my mother, she'd crank up a song that came on the radio and she'd be like, "Who is this?" And if I get it wrong, she'd yell the name of the artist, like fucking, John Cougar, or fucking Bob Seger. And so eventually I became very cognizant of who it was that was on the radio. Like I had to be quick on the draw too, because I knew she was going to ask me. So I tried to, and I try to have it all the time. I still quiz myself on that. I don't. Thanks a lot, Mom. Thanks for that scar. Rest in pieces, ma'am. So that's as far as the love of music and being aware of it and paying attention to it. I would blame probably more my mom for that than my dad. But what was part B of that question?
First endeavors.
First endeavors. Okay, so I alluded to this earlier about how my friend Michael asked me to try out for this band. We had. Okay, so for some reason, all right. So I work in a warehouse, and years ago, for whatever reason, the size of the warehouse doesn't merit the use of walkie-talkie comm systems. But for whatever reason, the warehouse manager at the time thought this was a good idea. So he decided to get everybody a walkie-talkie, and it fizzled out pretty damn quick because nobody wanted to mess with it. The warehouse just wasn't big enough. You could tell it was dead on its feet before it even went anywhere. So after the people that were supposed to use these walkie-talkies stopped using them, that's when people in my department started grabbing them and having fun with them. So when the company owner, the boss man, had come around, we'd hop on the walkie-talkies and tell each other, "Bear in the woods, bear in the woods, bear in the woods." And so that would be our little code words or whatever for the boss is out, try to look busy, don't get caught and get in trouble, get fired or whatever, get sent home. One day, I'm not a fan of this band, and it's embarrassing to even admit this, but here you go. So there's this band that maybe you've heard of them, little band called Godsmack, and they had this song called Voodoo off of one of their first or second albums, and it was on the radio, and I chimed in over the walkie-talkie. It was like, "I'm not the one that's so far away," and whatever, just kind of making fun of it. And a friend of mine, he was working elsewhere in the warehouse. He said he overheard it, and he's like, "Hey, you ever thought about being in a band?" And I didn't know this dude was in a band or played bass in a band or anything. I'm like, I don't know. I kind of thought about it when I was a kid, because I did. I always wanted a guitar when I was a little kid. That's another story. Actually, it's probably part of the origin story. Maybe I'll come back to it. Maybe I won't. So he asked me if I ever wanted to be in a band. So next thing I know, I'm auditioning for a band, and I have no idea what I'm doing, and it went awful, and I wanted to get the hell out of there because I felt like I didn't belong. These people were actual musicians that could play songs, and the songs that I was familiar with, and I didn't know them. I didn't know the songs because I didn't listen to those bands all the time. But so from there, it turned from that into a hey, do you think you could try out for this band I'm putting together? It's a Black Sabbath cover band, and I didn't know Black Sabbath very well. I still got Black Sabbath and Ozzy songs mixed up thanks to the radio. They'd say, "Here's Paranoid from Ozzy Osborne," and so I would just equate that with Ozzy and not Black Sabbath, because I was an idiot, I guess. So from there, it was I tried out for that. I failed miserably, but I really did like the idea of it. It sounded like a lot of fun. So I looked at the drummer. His name's Mike. I'll call him Mad Dog. I said, "Mad Dog, give me another week. I'm gonna study this I'm gonna actual disciple these lyrics and try to do better if you'll have me back. If not, it's cool. I totally get it. I suck, but I mean, if you give me another chance, I'll come better prepared. And I did, and we ended up playing in that band for a couple different versions because some people quit or got fired, and new people got hired, and we had a lot of fun with it. Ended up playing Uptown Theater, Davies Uptown, the Grand Emporium. We played the Beaumont Club. We had fun with it. It was a lot of fun. And then from there, I wanted to start something original, so I started something. I think we called it Calloused. A member from an old band called Shadow Faction. A couple people that had not been in bands before. A guitar player from a band called Slit, and we became Calloused, which was spelled wrong, but it was kind of an homage to the something like a mix between the Hindu god Kali of like death and lust, or I might be getting that wrong. I'm not sure. And calloused, or just being hard worn over time. And that version of the band fizzled out, so we got new members, a couple new members, and we called it Severed Path. Played lots of shows with that band, and then that band disbanded, and then I started up Into Existence with Ernie Dilks, the member from Slit that I was talking about before, and we got some new members, and still in that band now. We're going through our third or fourth lineup change. As that happens, then one day I get the call, just ask if I could pull double duty on frontman duties and see if I could help the guys that burn the gates with some material that they had unexpectedly available. And I said, yeah, I'll give it a try. And Burn the Gates liked what I did, and they kept me around. That's kind of my story with it.
The rest is history.
Yeah, the rest is history. History in the making. We'll see how far it goes. I'm a big fan of chasing that question mark in the sky. Just seeing how far things will go. Of course, we're in our 40s. Record labels aren't looking for people like us, mainly because we have jobs and families. We have responsibilities that tie us to our home life, which is absolutely fine. We're not on tour constantly and living by the skin of our teeth, living that way or whatever, hand to mouth. I get it. It's a very romantic notion. I wish I could chase the dream in that manner, but life doesn't always hand you that. Doesn't deal you that hand. So that's where I'm at with this band and the other band and music in general.